Welcome to Northern Quiet. Perhaps you've reached the end of another day, and instead of noticing everything you did, your mind has gone straight to everything you didn't. The email you never sent, the task you didn't finish, the thing you were meant to get to but didn't. And somewhere in the background there may be that familiar feeling that I should have done more. If that's where your mind is tonight, stay here for a while, because you do not need to earn your rest by completing everything. There is something particularly difficult about work that never really finishes. There will always be another email, another task, another request, another thing that could be improved. You can have a productive day and still end it staring at what remains. The mind, it sees an unfinished list and quietly turns it into a judgment. Not enough, not fast enough, not productive enough. But an unfinished list is not evidence of an inadequate day. Sometimes it is simply evidence that there was more work than there was time. Think for a moment about what you actually carried today. The decisions you made, the questions you answered, the things you remembered, so somebody else didn't have to remember them. The small problems you dealt with that barely registered before the next one arrived. Perhaps there were meetings, messages, emails, interruptions, changes of plan, things that took twice as long as expected. Now, much of what consumes us during a working day never appears neatly on a completed list. And yet, it still required something from you. Your attention, your judgment, your patience, your energy, and all that counts too. So perhaps tonight you can stop measuring the day only by what remains unfinished. You don't need to convince yourself that everything went perfectly. Perhaps it didn't. Perhaps you made a mistake. Perhaps you weren't as productive as you wanted to be. Perhaps there really are things you will need to deal with tomorrow. All of that can be true without turning this evening into another performance review. So take a slow breath and let it leave without trying to make anything happen. Notice the surface beneath you. For these few minutes, you really don't have to be efficient. You don't have to make good use of the time. You don't have to achieve anything with this rest. So let your shoulders settle. Let your hands become still. Let your face soften. There is no target here. People who expect a great deal from themselves can become very good at moving the finish line complete one thing and another immediately takes its place. Solve one problem and the mind presents the next. Eventually, even a good day's work can feel strangely insufficient. So tonight, we're not going to move the finish line again. We're going to leave it where it is. The working day ended, and you reached it. There may still be a voice saying, "But I could have done more." Perhaps. Most of us could always do more. One more email, one more hour, one more problem. But being capable of doing more does not mean you are required to. There really has to be a point where enough becomes enough. And tonight, this can be that point. You do not need to prove that you worked hard enough to sleep. You do not need a completely crossed off list before you're allowed to stop. Rest isn't a reward given only to people who finished everything. It is part of what allows you to return tomorrow with perspective, patience, and enough of yourself left to begin again. So let the unfinished things remain unfinished. Not because they don't matter, but because they do determine whether today was worthwhile. Your inbox is not keeping score. Your task list doesn't know your value. And tomorrow does not require a perfect vision or version of you. For now, notice your breathing again. Nothing to improve, nothing to complete, nothing to get right. Just this breath, and then another. The day does not need another hour from you. It has had enough. And perhaps so have you. You've done enough today. Not everything. Enough. There is a difference. Now, let that word settle for a moment. Enough. Enough thinking. Enough doing. Enough measuring. Enough expecting. You can stop now. And if the mind returns once more to something you didn't finish, you don't need to argue with it. Simply recognize it. Tomorrow. Not as a dismissal, not as avoidance, just a boundary. Tomorrow. Tonight, you are finished. So, let your body become heavier now. Let the day become less important. With every quiet minute that passes. Nothing needs to be added to make today count. Nothing needs to be completed before you're allowed to sleep. You've done enough. You're allowed to stop. And the rest? Well, that can wait until morning. Sleep well. Good night.